Welcome everyone to today's webinar on coaching for transformation, building organizations ready for what's next. So we all are living in an environment where change is not an occasional event. The organizations are undergoing immense changes, navigating the change in the working styles. Expectations of the employees are changing, technology disruptions, and a need to adapt consistently with the change. And that brings a question as to how we enable the people, not just the processes, in navigating this transformation. And here, coaching brings a very strong perspective. So, when we think about coaching, traditionally it was related to an individual growth, individual leadership development, where a leader knows how to be more self-aware and more confident and more efficient with their work. But today's conversation is moving towards a bigger picture as to how is coaching moving from an individual's growth to a new way of how an organization leads, develops people, enables decision making, and creates the change. And to discuss that, so we have our guests, Rajat and Rupika, with us, who have a rich experience in the coaching space. So Rajat Garg is an award-winning CXO coach and an entrepreneurial leader with 24 years of experience in leadership technology, consulting, and organizational transformation, a master certified coach, and a former president of the ICF Global Board. Rajat is also the co-founder of Meeraq and Coach to Transformation. And our second guest for today is Rupika Singh, who leads coaching, gender and inclusions, and the lead academy at Tata Consultancy Services, an organization development practitioner at heart. She is passionate about shaping cultures where people and performance thrives together. Her work focuses on building coaching capabilities at scale, fostering inclusion leadership, and creating meaningful conversations that strengthens the engagement, well-being, and the organizational effectiveness across cultures and geographies. Today, Rupika will share the TCS coaching journey, how it evolved into an enterprise-wide capability that challenges along the way and the impact it continues to create. Thank you both of you for joining us today. And before we start our webinar today, so I would love to know from our guest speakers as to when you hear the word coaching for transformation, what does that mean to you? Over to
Rupika.
you, Rajat or Rupika,
Oh,
anyone can start.
Rupika, always.
All right, coaching for transformation. For me, first of all, thank you for the invite for all of us to be here today. Rajat, this is a privilege. We've had a very, very long association, and this is for everyone here listening into us. I think our association dates back a decade, if not a little more. Rajat actually knows the exact date, so he'll be able to share that. So it's been a happy journey all through. And hence sitting over here and speaking and sharing this platform with you, Rajat, is a privilege. Harllen, thank you so much for just this opportunity, for reaching out to us and for saying, I want to do this. I want to get you all into a conversation and I want to speak to you all. Your dedication to coaching and what you are bringing into the organization is something that is absolutely valuable. Now, when we talk about coaching transformation, here is my personal feeling about it. As we are talking about transformation and change and the uncertainty, etc., I do believe that it's not like we don't have the answers on what is supposed to be done. The processes are clear, answers are clear. What actually needs to be done is for people to build resilience to navigate the transformation. And that is where coaching steps in. So for me, very, very simply put, that is coaching for transformation, the resilience that is built in times of uncertainty to deal with the changes that are coming across. Over to you, Rajat.
Thank you so much, Rupika. And I think let me start again with saying this. For some reason, you gave me a chance in TCS when you were starting up as the entire coaching piece in TCS. I still don't know why. I was like maybe the youngest coach at that time in that whole cohort that you picked up. And I still remember you asking me in the interview questions around, hey, why did you become a coach, etc. And I said, gave the answer saying I felt I was just running day in, day out. And, I needed to figure myself out. And hence I came out and became a coach. And now I'm trying to make a company. So your next question was, aren't you still running? So I don't think you will remember all that because I was one of the many you were speaking to. But I think the answer I gave is still relevant today. While I am still running, but I'm running for a reason. I know why I'm running. I know I'm running for myself as well. For what I want to create, what I want to do. It's not for some unknown purpose out there. So that purpose keeps me driving, and I think over the years, coaching has helped me to transform first. Right? When I went through my coach training process to become a coach, a lot of things shifted. A lot of pieces were understood about myself. And that helped me to even understand that I am not a leader yet. While I am an entrepreneur, I am not a leader who is leading an organization. So coaching continued to be a process by which I'm still in a process of becoming a leader. Right? I'm still figuring out myself all the time. So for me, it has been a transformational journey based on coaching. And that's what I believe coaching does for everyone who I have interacted with, the amount of people I've seen over the last decade plus. And it's both, I've seen individuals, transforming as well as organizational transforming along with them. So I've seen both the journeys out there. And that's beautiful to understand and see that how an individual, when they transform, the impact that they can create on the organizational transformation as well. So I've been lucky to be part of this journey and to see all this and to be part of this whole community of coaches as well. So thank you, Harlem, for asking this question.
My pleasure. So, so, so can we take it as transformation is somewhere happens when there is a change in what people do, but
Mhm.
coaching happens when there is change in how people think and how they respond to the change. Rajat.
Yeah. So I think Rupika's concept of resilience. So
Mm-hmm.
self-awareness to resilience to actual change, right? In terms of who they become. I think at some level, the understanding of the being, who they are, and who they become after that,
Okay.
that itself shifts for them.
Okay. Thank you so much, Rajat. So this question is both to Rajat and Rupika. So you can give your perspectives on this. As to when you talk about the role of coaching in you have a very rich experience. You have seen many leaders. So how does coaching help the leaders enable themselves in a situation of uncertainty? So I would love to hear from both of you.
Rajat, you're on the flow, so you can continue and I'll follow.
Sure. I think in the times of uncertainty, and we are in major times of uncertainty as of now, right? It's from both technologically as well as from the global economic sort of socio-economic changes that are going on across the globe as of now. So a leader will need to figure out their place in this. They will need to figure out, can they adapt, can they be agile enough to shift at any time, right? And are, as Rupika has used the word, resilient enough to make that change happen. right? So all these three, adapt, agility to shift, as well as the resilience to change after that, right? All three are important parameters for a leader to understand about themselves in these times. And if I can make that happen, and if I can make that happen, the human part of me stays alive as well. I do not just become a business head or a business owner at that point. I become a leader who is leading up, a bunch of people around me in a human way at the same time, because I understand what's happening to me. I'm aware of it. I'm adapting. I'm agile enough. I'm resilient enough to that change. So I'm able to help people around me to also grow. And in uncertain times, the biggest fear lies below you. What's going to happen? Because most of them don't have any information or data to know what's going on with the organization, what's going to happen to them tomorrow, right? And we have seen a lot of, layoffs in the AI wave in these years. So, people need to have a leader who they can trust as well. Rupika.
So I want to share a little bit of the TCS story as to how coaching started in TCS. When we initially spoke about coaching in TCS, the whole thing was that how do we create a coaching culture in TCS? We understood that it's going to bring in some advantages, but how do we create that culture? There are two ways of going about it. One is that you can put people in a room and you can train them on coaching skills and get them to become coaches. The other is that you get them to experience coaching, right? So there was one clarity that we absolutely had, that coaching is not an intervention, it is an initiative. And that was the underlying difference when you stop treating it as something which is solving a problem to something that is building a capability within you. So the first thing was that we got to get people to experience coaching for them to build a stance of a coach. Now, when the leaders undergo coaching conversations across 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, and they build that stance of a coach, is when they stop being something that they are receiving and they start becoming how they are going to lead. You use that stance in your conversations. Just the aspect of somebody asking you curious questions, getting you to explore what you would really want to explore on, is something that you inadvertently start using in your conversations. And that is where the shift starts happening. So when I'm talking about resilience, I'm not talking about resilience from an aspect that you're facing trauma and you need to be strong enough to face that trauma. I am talking about any change that comes across when we have the courage to step forward, and if I may use the phrase, embrace that change. That is resilience. And that we do not just with a skill, but also with a stance, right? So the way it moves is that you start off with coaching as an initiative, to then building coaching as a capability, which then leads to coaching as a culture. And if you start building in and bringing in that culture, then there can be any amount of transformation that may happen in the inside world or the outside world. The fact that you have the stance of a coach will help you navigate that change. And it's a ripple effect that gets created with one person in the center. So what Rajat said a little earlier, that it literally starts with one individual. And that's how it flows across.
And I think what TCS did very bravely at that time of, when coaching in India wasn't the biggest thing, right? In 2015, right? They started with the COE of coaching. They literally had people who are coach trained, who are PCC, ACCs and all, bring them together and then run a ecosystem of coaching. So a lot of companies, if the starting point is a structure and not just some couple of coaching engagements as ad hoc, that tells you the intent of the organization. Saying we are here, we are ready to invest. It is not an intervention. And it was very clear with that. It's an initiative around coaching. So that was the big difference in how TCS approached coaching within the company.
Great insights, Rajat and Rupika. Thank you for sharing that. So now, the coaching becoming making a leader a human, the agility part, the resilience part talks about the beauty of coaching. So now somewhere that being a little bit practical. So generally organizations historically they work under a tell and instruct leadership model. So, and coaching is somewhat very much different. So, what is the change in the leadership behavior that should happen so that they evolve from the tell and instruct culture to a coach and enable culture? If you want to have coaching being bundled up in the organizational policies, how will that change in the leadership behavior happen? So I would love to know from both because both are associated with the big organizations.
Go ahead, Rupika.
I feel the biggest and the quickest lesson that everyone has learned as of today, not just in a large global organization, but anywhere across, is the fact that tell and instruct is not going to work. It has become the biggest lesson, more important than the biggest lesson. It's the quickest lesson. And that is because of the younger generations, because they don't work with the tell and instruct policy, right? And that I feel has been one of the biggest wins for coaching. Thing that we wanted to put people in a boardroom or in a classroom and teach them is something that you're experiencing. You're experiencing it at home, you're experiencing it at your workplace, that giving answers is not going to work. Showing capacity is going to work. Directing solutions is not going to work. Exploratory thinking is going to work. Evaluating people is not going to work. Developing people is going to work. Driving compliance is not going to work. Building ownership and accountability is going to work. And if we are not showing this in our conversations, you're not going to be able to work with the people that you're working with, right? I have never come across a larger group of people asking for reverse mentoring than what people are as of today. They all want to learn from the younger generations. Parents want to do it with children. You have no other way out. And you want to do it in the organization because you have no other way out. So tell and instruct by itself has shifted out of the window and thrown out from the balcony. Rajat, over to you.
Yeah. So what interestingly, some conversations that we are having with organizations today is around how do we develop mentors who inquire and not just tell their experiences or share their experiences as mentors, right? So, which is very interesting shift that is going on, saying mentors were ideally supposed to be like, I come to you, you tell me a solution, right? Now, even that requirement is changing from them saying, hey, can you inquire more? Can you understand more before you give any kind of thought process or idea to someone? So, and if you look functionally across organizations, right, from a finance to a manufacturing to a sales team and all these examples where it's a lot of hierarchy led conversations compared to other functions, even there you are seeing a shift in the senior leadership, right? A lot of roles at senior leadership have started having coaching as a part of the role requirement. Can you coach people under you? And these are hardcore typical hierarchical roles, right? Sales, finance, and all these areas. So the shift is, as Rupika said, is happening because the Gen Zs, the newer generations, are not looking for direction because they already know. They're looking for support. They're looking for how can I become better, but don't tell me how to become better. Help me become better. Right. So one of the interesting conversations I had with my bank branch manager recently. He was like, my people are not able to sell to Gen Z, a bank branch manager. And the problem is the Gen Z has already done the research through AI on all the bank products. And they have harder question to the bank sales guy to ask. Right? So the role of the salesperson at the bank level has moved away from telling us what is right for us to be able to inquire about what do we think we need, right? Because only then they will be able to help us. And the bank branch manager was struggling. He was like, I'm not able to sell. And this is the change that has come up across organizations. So you cannot do instruction, you cannot do any kind of direction kind of leadership anymore. You have to get into a space of how can I help? How can I support? What role do you need of me in this moment? How do you want me to be with you now? Right? Instead of by default starting as a boss all the time. So can I move into that space? So that's the journey, that's the requirement, that's the real need today. Uh,
Thank you, Rajat, for sharing this real life scenario, and thanks, Rupika. So, so Rupika, you come from a very larger organization, and have you ever faced any real-time scenario where the people with the tell and instruct state of mind, now they are told, now this is the policy, coaching and coach and enabled. Have you faced any kind of difficulties in past?
So can I be absolutely honest? All the time. That is so. So we completely pride ourselves on the fact that there is a coaching culture that exists in the organization, but are we dealing with humans at the end of the day, and very hardwired, very experienced, full of wisdom driven revenue generators in millions. Um, Yes, the suspicion is there, the resistance is there. They don't want to be told. Coaching is still viewed by many as a performance-based initiative rather than a developmental-based initiative. For people to understand that coaching within the organization is done in with a strength-based lens, where we are echoing a person's attributes and not talking to them about what needs to grow or needs to develop. Are those conversations happening on at a daily basis? Yeah, absolutely yes. And will they continue to happen? Absolutely, yes. But guess what? 10 years back, I used to get into those conversations with a lot of trepidation. Like, how am I going to deal with it? The resistance is so high. What am I going to say? Even though the conviction is there that you have something which is golden in your hands, right? But you're still dealing with resistance. You're still dealing with people who want to show you the door. But as of today, these conversations have a polarity of challenge and support. They have a polarity of absolute benefit in those conversations. And I am yet to come away from a conversation where the shift hasn't happened even if it's a slight shift, let's just step into it and see what happens, right? The moment you have that shift happening in the conversation, you're in the right path. So yes, that is faced on a daily basis, and we thrive in those conversations.
And it's going to be true all the time. Right? You will not have 100% acceptance to, just coach or just be there for someone. So you'll have a decent amount of population who still believes in the culture that existed earlier. But at the same time, there is a better acceptance towards this shift than the past. It's easier to get somebody into coaching. It's easier to get somebody into shifting their, mindset around things than the past. So if I look at 10 years back versus today, getting somebody into coaching is much more easier. Right? It's easier for HR, it's easier for CHROs to get and to sell coaching internally. Because one, obviously it has become a brand, coaching in itself in India, right? Everybody is getting coached. So why not I? I should also get coached as well. So it's perfectly fine to get coached. And yes, sometimes we are still figuring out why me? Why should I get coached in this, at all? So, but there are answers that are created now for them versus stepping back, as what Rupika was saying, right? You couldn't, but now you stand up and say, hey, this is where the need is coming from. We would really like you to go through a coaching session now, right? And there is that acceptance has grown big time.
Yeah. But and Rajat, now when I think back about it as to why do I like these conversations? I like these conversations because I'm better prepared for it. There's no two doubts about it. I'm better prepared for it, not just from my own experience point of view, but because we have been so hard by measurement on the ROI bit in the organization that I do not step into these conversations without data. I am not going to talk subjective to a leader who is data driven. I will show the data. I will show shifts through data. And that's one of the winning points in fact, I would say that's one of the biggest winning points in the conversation. So the fact that we have that measurement matrix and the analytics that we have done across the years, right from the first cohort that Rajat stepped in, we were very clear we are not going to just step into these conversations and make it warm and fuzzy and come out and say, Acha hua, matlab, you do something out of it. We are going to measure the impact. And that is what Harllen, to a very, very large extent, has helped us have these conversations and build the trust within the organization.
And it's a very hard thing. I remember even we cribbing back to TCS at this, like, how much data, how much documentation do you want from us? We are here to coach people, right? But at the end of the day, it's a very, very important data point to measure success in coaching, right? And don't just measure success from an individual change perspective. Measure success in terms of how the system has changed. What has it achieved because of the leader changing? Right? Most of the time, we are only revolving around has the leaders change happened or not? Have the mindset shifted? Have the behavior shifted? And most of the organizations are still happy with that, right? But if you can literally look at the impact of their change on the system, you will have more people wanting to get coached. You will have lesser, sort of resistance towards coaching or towards change itself. So if you are looking at an organizational coaching culture, building that piece, stop being ad hoc about things. Start measuring the impact at every level and start measuring business impact of the leader change. That's going to be very, very important.
Okay. So, Rajat, you talked about the measurement of the business impact, and Rupika, you talked about the ROI.
Yeah.
And when everything is on the table, the ROI, the measurement metrics. So, Rajat, you are partnering with many organizations across industries. You have seen organizations evolving around coaching. So, what makes coaching succeed or fail uh, based on putting it at a very larger scale? So, when the organizations try to build coaching at a very large scale, so what makes coaching succeed or fail? So, it's just talking about the success, we have heard about it, but there
Yeah.
might be the other side of the coin too. So, we would love to know about that.
So this is something that I am currently working on, right? I've developed a framework and all that around this. So the point is, people think that creating coaching access in the system, so giving access to many, many, many people, you have scaled coaching, right? So the measure of success of a large coaching piece is all about how many people have access to coaching or how many people we have coached in the past. It should not be that. It should be about what has been the outcome of all the access that we have given to people, right?
Okay.
Is coaching helping the system or not out there? So you can continue to doing a large scale coaching intervention of 500 people, 1,000 people, but if people are not changing, right? So the how you measure is also very important. What you measure as part of that is very important. Apart from that, the second piece that I couple of things that I see where organizations fail is there is no linkage to strategy of the organization in coaching. It is, as Rupika said, it's a developmental initiative or intervention most of the time. It is always there might be correctional intervention as well, but nowadays I see more of developmental interventions as well. So, but there is no linkage to why this change will lead to organizational strategy being met, right? So the sponsorship always reduces as times progress because they do not see any linkage to change of people to the organization success. So you will have reduced sponsorship over time. The next element is governance. How you govern the entire piece, right? Who gets access to coaching? When do they get access to coaching? Who gives the approvals? What structures are there? Are coaches required to do supervision or at least mentoring for themselves? How do you source coaches internally, externally? What is the policy around that? So there is a lot of ad hoc sourcing that happens today. So I have a known network. I will go out as HR and ask for a couple of coaches from my network, right? But what is the policy behind sourcing them? Do you have a structure around it or not as well? So all these elements typically end up where coaching sort of doesn't become a systemic intervention. It becomes a very leader focused or a functional focus, this group, this layer approach, and never bigger than that. While I might be still coaching all entire layer of 500 people, but it's still not a systemic intervention.
Rupika, you want to
Yeah.
add on?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of my favorite questions. So, in my experience, coaching succeeds when the strategy of the organization is to see coaching as a culture transformation rather than a standalone learning and development initiative. If you're going to look at it as a standalone initiative, it's going to peter down. A few things that need to be kept in mind, some of which Rajat has already touched upon, and I'm in complete agreement with him. Visible leadership sponsorship. If we do not have consistent leadership sponsorship, it is not going to work. I'm not even going to mince words here. It is just not going to work because the employees of an organization, they are going to do what the leaders do. So if the senior leaders are getting coached, then the others will follow suit. And the senior leaders, they become the ambassadors of coaching. That is synonymous to what Rajat called out as a systemic initiative that happens in an organization. The second thing is that for sustainable coaching cultures to get built in an organization, it is very important that you have internal coaching capability. And if that starts with the coaching team as a center of excellence that has the coaching capability. That is how you bring in coaching skills, coaching competencies, coaching ethics. It cannot be brought in from anybody just putting coaching in the learning initiative. The other part is that coaching, what Rajat spoke about, it needs to get integrated into the existing systems. It needs to get integrated into leadership development, into talent conversations, into even performance management conversations in everyday work. It just needs to get built in everything that you're doing. Interestingly, in our organization, every program that we run, which is a leadership development program at any level, post integration to the program is always coaching. And there is a reason for that. If anybody can punch in their reasons on the chat, then that will be interesting to know. Here is my question. In every program that we run in TCS, the post program integration, any learning, any leadership program, any development program, the post integration to that program is one-on-one coaching conversations. Why do we do it? If any one of you or all of you have a thought to it, please put it down on the chat. We'd love to have a look at it. Everybody who goes through a development program goes through 4 to 6 conversations, one-on-one conversations. I can see Dia share an answer saying coaching is a glue that makes learning stick. If you can expand a little bit more on that, then that'll be great. While you all are punching in your answers, here is the other aspect. The other aspect is that when you get in external coaches within the organization, the external coach must understand the context, the vision, what the organization stands for, what the organization's culture is. If coaches don't understand that, and you cannot tell the coach, this is your homework, go and read up the website and come back. Get the leaders to talk to the coaches, orient them to the coaching culture. That is how they are going to be able to make their coaching conversations more meaningful. Some of you have shared
There are many answers.
your answers. All right. Here is why coaching is and I agree with all of you. Here is why we put in one-on-one coaching as a post-program integration for every program that we do. Because the recency value of a training program or a development program is very high. You will always have people say, what a brilliant program. I learned so much. It was super. They'll come and tell the facilitator, you are the world's best facilitator. And then guess what happens? You go back to business as usual. Everything that has happened in that room is forgotten. And it is not that person's fault. It is the fact that life gets in our way and we get in our own way. Now, you've had some exploration that's gone on. You've had some introspection, some awareness of yourself. When you bring in a coach and get the participant to go through one-on-one coaching with the coach, the learning from that one day carries on across 2 months, across 3 months. And whatever you have learned, you learn to explore it deeper. You've done the collective, now you do the individual. And then you start putting it into practice. The moment you put it into practice, like they say, for 21 days, it's your second nature. Then you see wins. When you don't see a win, when you falter, when you come across a speed bump, you come back and you discuss that with your coach. So you carry on with the learning way beyond that one day that you have spent with the in the session, in the program. And that is how you build the stance of coaching in everybody. Sorry for the long answer, but I had to share this.
Carried a lot of insights, Rupika. Yeah, Rajat, you were saying something.
Now, I was adding on top and basically saying that if you really, and talking about the integration piece, how do you integrate it? So one of our the clients that we worked with and trained their managers on coaching, we actually picked up the snapshot of their performance management system and put it in the training program and said, here is the box you will start your coaching conversation. Right? This is where you will have that conversations about the person in this moment. So that, what Rupika is talking about is, hey, I can give you a learning experience. But what comes in the way of implementing is where, when, how, when I go into the real world. So when I am working with you in terms of creating a coaching culture in the organization, I really need to also create a portfolio approach to things and say, here are the potential use cases of coaching. Right? So that when it comes in front of me, I don't have to know about it. It just happens to me. This is the use case I already heard of. Maybe I can start having a coaching conversation here. And that helps in building the coaching culture in the organization. When people are aware, and even the users of coaching, they are aware, saying these are the different use cases which I can approach a coach for. Right? So defining those use cases, it could be a performance management conversation, it could be a dilemma, it could be career conversation, but defining those use cases in the company.
Thank you so much, Rajat and Rupika. It was really insightful, and the people over here, I am sure they might be getting a lot of knowledge from you. So Rupika and Rajat, so both of you work in this coaching space. Rupika, you are building and enabling coaching in a larger organization. So you come across various leaders, and even Rajat, while you are also working with the industries, what is the shift you have seen in the leaders when they embrace coaching as their leadership policy? Any specific shift which you have seen that okay, this person has embraced coaching in the leadership style? Because
So
yeah, over to
the reason
you.
I'm smiling is one of our clients who embraced coaching after being trained as a coach. His response to us was, these people have uh, trying to figure out the right word, non-diplom. These people have really taken away the life that I was living. I was very happy earlier,
Okay.
right? In the way I was living, my life was great, right? And they have come in, taught me something, made me realize that that was not great. The way I was leading till now, right? And that for him, the acceptance that the way he was seeing the world as himself as a leader in this world, that shifted for him. And he's one of the biggest supporters, sponsors of coaching in his organization today. The amount of coaching work the organization does after that. And that's the beauty of a leader changing after coaching, because they become your marketing person, they become the sponsors of coaching, they become the ambassadors of coaching within the organization. And you need such people to drive this agenda for growth. Right? So just using that example, it was one of the, the way he put it in, like, they have literally, take away my happy life kind of thing. So Rupika.
Yeah, I want to share this with you all. I was asked some time back, few years back, by the senior management in TCS saying, what's the flip of coaching? You want to get the entire world in TCS coached. What's the flip in coaching? So I sat back and I thought about it. This was a trick question for me. I had no answer for it. And when I thought about it, I gave an honest response. And my response was that the flip of coaching is that people are going to leave you. And that is happy attrition. That is happy attrition because you have given a gift to that person that nobody else would have given. You have actually, in very lay terms, got the person self-actualized. They have found out what they want to do. And that is what has happened. I have seen it again and again and again and again. Very senior leaders coached, they finish their coaching conversations. They are not even a coach, they are being coached. They finish their 8-month journey and then you see their letter coming in saying, I'm leaving the organization. So at one point of time, I got worried. And I said, this is going to become a bane on my head. I'm going to become answerable for this. So I remember calling up one such leader and saying, hey, why are you leaving? You're super important. He's saying, Rupika, but in coaching, I realized I want to pursue music. So I am leaving TCS not to join the competition, but any other organization. I just want to pursue music. If I may add, I've seen it in my own house. So my brother and me, we are both coaches. I have to admit that he coaches more than I do. But I literally feel when I've heard a couple of his coaching conversations. Rajat, you're not hearing me say this, but I heard a couple of his coaching conversations, the ones that he has created as a sample piece, and I'm listening to those coaching conversations, and I'm like, he's found his calling in life. And he feels the same thing. Now the ecosystem around you, the professional ecosystem around you, will look at it as a threat. But for that individual, it is the happiest moment. It's the happiest thing that you're giving to the individual. So that I feel is what happens when you either become a coach or you get coached.
Yeah, and I'm in one of the examples of that, right? I got coached and I left my corporate life. So I'm
Exactly.
literally.
In fact, Harlem, I'm surprised you are asking this question. You're an example of this. So you should be answering that question.
So I wanted to learn more about other people also. So the story somewhere resonated with me also. So I was happy enough. I'm not the only one. Okay. So we started the session. We are almost close to the ending part. So we started our discussions with uncertainty and the transformations that is happening. We see a very big shift while our discussions that how organizations uses coaching is now rather than how can organizations lead with a coaching mindset to lead, learn, and transform. So just a final question from my end so that I can open the forum for the audience to ask the questions. What is the one piece of advice that you both would give to the organizations who are starting embracing the coaching journey? So any one of you can start. Rupika, ladies first, and then Raj.
All right, in today's world of equity, if that is what I'm all right with that. So my advice would be that when you start off with coaching, start with the leaders, but don't stop with the leaders. That's not the way to build in coaching. Coaching is an organizational capability. It is not a leadership competency. And that's the way that organizations need to view coaching as in creating an environment where conversations happen, even if it is one conversation at a time, right? But where you feel the aspect of trust, you feel the aspect of curiosity, and it all starts from the top. So any organization who is investing in coaching only for their top leadership, please stop doing that. It always starts with the leaders, but it cannot stop there. It has to be an organization-wide ecosystem that needs to be built, is my one piece of advice.
Yep. And I'll build on that. I'll go back to the concept of systemic view. How are you looking at coaching as a systemic concept and not just as a small intervention that will lead to some success, right? So you have to start looking at saying, how are you looking at all layers in coaching, all parts of coaching, instead of just looking at saying, I've got 10 leaders, I need 5 coaches, and I'll source those 5 coaches and get coaching done. That's when coaching is coming as a need from some individuals, not from a system need, right? The system needs coaching today. The system needs coaching intervention. So start looking at it as a systemic concept when you implement it. So start building it that way.
Thank you. So now we see that transformation starts with the people, but it is sustained with the way the people lead, learn, think, and enable others to keep going. So that is where coaching steps in with the resilience, with the agility part, with being human. Thank you so much for such a thoughtful and insightful conversation, Rajat and Rupika. It was a pleasure to have you all, and thank you for such a lovely audience who let me ask my set of questions. So now I'll open the forum to the audience to ask their questions. Thank you so much. I can see a well done, sis.
No questions from anybody?
I have a question, Rupika. This is Anurag here from TCS. So I was in the first cohort of TCS Workplace Coach Program that happened in year 2000 or 2021 or 2020. So, but after completing that and during that whatever coaching sessions we had, but after that I could not get much opportunity to continue to pursue this passion, or how can I be able to continue and help others and grow in this manner?
All right, Anurag, one is that I'm glad that you've done your workplace coach certification. The other thing I'm glad about is that though you haven't been as active as you want to be, but you are still here listening in to us. That clearly shows that you are interested. This is a conversation that we would like to take up with you within the organization. Just to let you know, there is enough and more coaching opportunity within TCS. We have a number of cohorts running. There are a number of associates who are being coached. So glad to see your interest to reactivate your coaching muscle. Please reach out to the coaching team and we'll get you aligned for coaching conversations.
Sure, Rupika. I tried to reach out to you sometime, but because of the time zone, I'm in Canada right now. I'm a permanent resident and citizen of Canada. So means that sometimes the times are not matching, but I'll get back to you.
Sure.
And Anurag, if you're looking beyond TCS to coach, there are a lot of people who need coaching in the world. So if you can, you can reach out to nearby universities around you in Canada, and you can literally go in, set up your, table in the campus and say, I'm available to coach. And I'm very sure students will start coming in, because while they know what they want, they still need to talk to someone at a different level. So if you have any university around you, just go talk to the, whatever vice chancellor or principal, whoever is the head, and see if you can set up something there, pro bono. But that will really help you work from a very human perspective. You'll get to know this generation as well.
I'll try that. Although I posted some, on LinkedIn as well, and mentioning that I am a coach and workplace coach, and if somebody can like to come back to me, but nobody.
To us, Anurag, we'll take this internally.
Yeah,
Come
sure.
to us. We'll give you enough work.
Sure, Rupika. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Dr. Manoj.
Hi Rajat, happy to see you here.
Same here.
And hi Rupika and Harllen. My question is very, very basic, and I just saw a friend talking from Canada, and so whenever I have like the parenting style in India is different. Even here, even for a marriage, you uh, go for kind of confirmation from your parents. And a child takes many years basically to leave even the bed of parents. Now that's the parenting style that we have. And I'm talking like a commoner. And then suddenly you see parenting and grooming very different internationally. So when you're in your coaching journey in especially developing countries and in developed countries, do you see some difference? Because I am experiencing it in my own organization.
So the difference that I see in developed countries and developing countries, and so let's, for example, take US and India, right? Uh, in a developed country, people know why they need coaching. People are very specific on what they need out of coaching, and they know how to get the best coach for themselves. So there is maturity in terms of the entire coaching industry, the buyer as well as the provider, both sides, right? In a developing country, which is what we have seen in India in the last 10, 12 years, the maturity is emerging. People are still figuring out what to buy in coaching, how to buy in coaching, how to engage with coaches, how do you know this is the right coach? So there is a lot of maturity movement that is going on. What is ethics around coaching in this scenario? So we have had, I don't face anymore. Earlier, when I started, I used to have those conversations in HR, like, you have to give us an evaluation of the leader as a coach. I don't find those requests anymore in India. Right? So that is the maturity that is happening across the industry, and the amount of work that has gone into maturing the industry itself in India is because of all the coaches like you. The amount of outreach, the amount of conversations you're having with leaders and HR out there every day, telling them what is the right way of coaching, what should you expect out of coaching. That journey we are still on, and you will see this difference wherein uh, people in US, they will invest in large scale intervention because it's already very structured, it's already very mature. In India, you will see more of batches and cohorts of coaching because we are still figuring out maturity, so we are not sure of the investment. Will I get the results? Right? It's the same as the kid trying to walk on its own, and I'm still holding the hand of the kid, not sure if the kid can walk alone. Right? So that's, we have moved on, we have become better. I think we are at a teenager stage in coaching in India. There is all kinds of stuff happening from both sides, lot of asks, lot of challenges, and we are trying to understand each other as an ecosystem. But we'll mature, we'll get to the adult stage. Rupika.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's just interesting, Rajat, on what you say. However, I have a very internal opinion on it because we are spread, coaching is spread across 43 countries in TCS. We have coaching capability in 43 countries. We have people being coached in across all those countries. So I think because it's more an organizational-led coaching, my experience with it has been a little different. And the only difference is that we see a sameness in approach across the countries. But I think that is more because it's within the organization, and you are giving an external viewpoint, which is very interesting to know. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Thank you. Preeta?
I have a question. Can I ask? Am I audible, please?
Is this Ramakrishnan?
Yes, sir. Thank you. First of all, thank you for a wonderful discussion today. It just brings better alignment to various things that's going in our head these days. Thank you so much. I just wanted to understand, since you, Rajat, particularly mentioned systemic quite a few times when we were talking, wanted to understand the role of a team coach in all of this, because that lies somewhere. It makes sense. And how is that taking off in the Indian ecosystem, as well as what probably TCS, do they have something similar to team coaching?
Yeah. So I'll let Rupika answer while I know the answer, but I'll let Rupika answer on that front. See, systemic team coaching is one of the potential tools that you can use in building a systemic culture of coaching. Right? It is not in equality in terms of creating a coaching culture. It is one of the interventions or ways of working. Right? So it's picking up slowly, systemic team coaching, but the largeness of the intervention, it requires 6 to 7 month journeys. It still is slightly prohibitive in India to engage in systemic team coaching for next level of organizations. But knowing TCS, that scale is very different, and doing it internally is possible. But if you look at an external team coaching engagement, it is still slightly prohibitive to engage for 6-7 months with a group of people out there. So it will pick up. There is some time to it, but it will happen at some point. Rupika.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
So to answer your question, does TCS have it? Yes. Does it have it successfully? Though you haven't asked that question, but it's run very, very successfully. In fact, we started off with executive one-on-one coaching. We moved on very, very quickly to systemic coaching. It was absolutely super to see what happened in that, because in the course of systemic coaching, the business units, they ran their own projects. They started generating revenue on projects that were not initially generating it. The business head partnered with the coach in the entire systemic coaching intervention or initiative. So it worked beautifully well. Today, our mindset is systemic coaching. I do not touch a business unit or a geography for coaching till the time the entire system believes in it. So it comes from the top and it moves down to the bottom. So I will not, for example, do anything for a mid layer till the time I don't have the business units absolutely aligned to what is happening. So it's usually the entire system which is being coached and not piecemeal cohorts which are being coached. That's how we follow systemic coaching in TCS. Systemic coaching in TCS is a part of life for us.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for those inputs. I just wanted to leave one thought.
We can't hear him.
Thank you.
Thank you. Am I audible now? Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry. I think I got a call in between, and I'm not so well equipped technologically right now. Thank you. I just want to give a thought here. See, what I feel is that some of the things that you mentioned here was we have to have the success metrics right in place whenever we talk about coaching, impact and success metrics. So now in a probably a team systemic coaching, the success metrics comes from the team themselves. So they own the kind of metrics in a far more, let's say, understandable and transparent way. That is something that I really appreciate, and I thought I'll just get it out to you.
Yep. Perfectly said. Thank you so much.
So we have two hands raised, Preetha and
Yeah, hi. Okay, thanks so much. It's been great to be a part of this conversation. I just had a question on as an external coach. When I coach directors and who are people at the leadership level, one of the things that they talk about is I'm comfortable getting coached with an external coach as opposed to an internal coach because I feel judged when I'm getting coached internally. So how does an organization, both of you can answer, you take care of not being judged when a coachee is there, because you have a COE, all of that, but they somehow, a lot of them whom I coach saying, no, I'm very comfortable getting coached at an external level because they'll then take it against me in a performance appraisal discussion, for example. So that was my question.
Right. Go first, Rajat. If anybody in the organization, and I'm speaking for TCS, were to come and say that I'm feeling judged in the process of coaching, I will need to really do a hard think, hard drive, deep dive into what's really happening in coaching conversations. And I'm going to go back to the coaches and have very, very tough love kind of conversations with them on what's going on. Senior leaders are typically coached externally, not because of the fear of judgment or perceptions, but because as of today, the coaching fraternity that I have internally does not have the experience to coach a very senior leader. Right. So for a senior leader in the organization, I will reach out to, say, a Rajat and say, Rajat, I need to get senior leaders coached. Can we please have coaches who have that caliber, the experience, the wisdom, because the conversations need to happen at that level. as well. So that's the reason why I will reach out to external coaches. But anything, if coaching conversations are going towards the aspect that a person is feeling judged, etc., then I've already shared my response to that.
And to add to that, I think both structures need to be available. If a senior leader is perfectly fine having an internal conversation with an internal coach, while they might not open up to the level which they can to an external coach, you provide both the options to them. And they can choose saying, for this conversation, I can talk to an internal coach. I don't require an external person for this. But these specific conversation, I need to talk to someone who will not use this data, interpret this data in a different way. Right. And it could be non-judgmental towards me as a human being, but judgmental towards the information that I'm sharing with them. Right. So that's where the neutrality is very, very important. So you provide both the structures. And for senior leadership, typically you should have coaching available. Never make it a project. They should have coaches available to speak to. Don't make it 10 sessions, 5 sessions as a concept. Say you have a coach, you can reach out whenever you can, because they don't know when they will need to talk to someone. And those moments arrive crazily in their lives. They're not even planning for it when something shifts around them and they need to have a conversation. Right. So plan for it that way that they can access coaches whenever they want.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much.
We have one more question.
The brother.
Yes.
We are running out of time.
Yes. Thanks, Harllen. I'll be brief because we are running out of time. I have more of a reflection than a question. That this coaching journey is new to me and it has been completely game changing for me. And before I go there, I was skeptical about it for a very long time. I was pushed towards it by my sister, and I'm thankful to her for it. And so I'd like to do a public thank you to her as well for persistently pushing me towards it. So three things I wanted to bring out. One, see, I work as a consultant, right, where the narrative is every situation you walk into, you have to have the answer, be it a team meeting, be it a client situation. Coaching has enabled me to shift from gyan to inquiry. I now walk into meetings with a question, and I never imagined how powerful that could be, even in a very tense client situation. Secondly, I think using the power of silence. I think we all believe that that answers lie in speaking. A lot of the answers we are seeking seem to lie in the silence, even in a board meeting. You can use silence in a board meeting with execs to get to the answer that you need to get to. And finally, how rare and important presence is. And you go to a meeting, any meeting, client meeting, team meeting, girlfriend, boyfriend, father, sister, be there with your whole self. Don't fiddle with your phone, make eye contact. I have to say, I wasn't aware of how powerful presence can be, and also how rare it is. So again, like I said, more of a reflection than a question. I'm sorry if I took up more time than I should have.
No, thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Malvin. Yeah. So let me add to this. I think a lot of times we look at executive presence as a concept of how I stand, what I wear, what I say, what I talk, etc. But I think the exec presence can simply be manifested in the format that you're talking about. Right? Am I in a state of inquiry? Am I in a state of silence? Am I in a state of being present in this moment to this whole thing? People will respect you. People will look up to you as a leader who is ready to talk to them, who's listening to them. Right? And that's for me is a greater executive presence than what I wear in any conversation. Right? But thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. I have to add to this that I think the one thing that we are most fearful of is silence. It just irks us. It makes us it just like we just need to pitch in to just disturb that silence. So I'm often asked that what is a good time to introduce coaching as a skill for leaders in an organization? And my response and my thought to that is that if your leaders can sit in silence, please introduce coaching as a skill. That's the time when you know that you can introduce coaching as a skill. But thank you for sharing those reflections.
Thank you, Rajat and Rupika, and thank you everyone for being such a lovely audience. I can see Aditi unmuting herself. So Aditi, you can pitch in and just wind off the session.
No, I'm sorry for the last part. I didn't realize I wasn't on mute. So sorry, everybody.
Yeah, we could hear you clicking our photos. So
Okay, I'm going to click one more so everybody knows. So maybe everybody can be on camera and give in your smile. So I'll take a couple of pictures. All right, I got a couple. Thank you so much, everybody. Does anybody have more questions, or we can end the session for today? All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Rajat. Thank you, Rupika. And thank you, Harllen.
Thank you so much. I
thank
had
you.
lovely guests.
We had a lovely host. Thank you so much, Harllen. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much, Rupika,
My
as
pleasure.
usual.
Thank you,
Love
Rajat.
having this conversation with all of
Absolutely.
you.
I echo the
Thank
thought.
you all.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.